So we are reconvening in regular open session now, and we are on item number 3, which is to approve the bills, payrolls, and warrants.
Move approval.
Second.
Okay. Mr. LeBeau?
Aye.
Mr. Samia? Mr. DiPaolo?
Aye.
Mr. Kane?
Aye.
Myself, aye. Item number 4 is to approve the minutes of the September 22nd, 2020 meeting.
Move approval.
Second.
Okay, Mr. LeBeau?
Aye.
Mr. Samia?
Aye.
Mr. DiPaolo?
Aye.
Mr. Kane?
Aye.
Myself, aye. Item number 5 is announcements and reports. Mr. Mizikar, do you have anything for us under that? Just what I'm seeing here that I will announce? Okay. So I'd like to announce that we have a grant that was applied for by our town clerk, Sandy Wright, in the amount of $16,898. And this grant is going to be awarded for the use of planning and operating a safe and secure election in the town of Shrewsbury. So that's a great amount of money that I'm sure will be put to good use by the town clerk's office. It's through the Center for Tech and Civic Life. And I know that there's probably a great deal of work that went into making this grant award possible. And I'd like to thank the town clerk and her staff for applying for the grant and for writing a grant proposal that brought this revenue to the town. And then I have one other thing that I wanted to discuss under this section, unless someone else has other announcements that they'd like to make this evening. So I had spoken earlier with the town manager just about the speeding in town. I noticed that there's been an uptick in calls or messages that I've been receiving regarding speeding. And one of the areas is Wilder Road, which is 2 streets over from where I live. And I do a lot of walking in my neighborhood. And also, having been a parent of Spring Street students, know that that street gets very busy and very fast during school hours. So I had asked the manager if it would be possible to have highway and the police department evaluate the possibility of a stop sign where Wilder Road intersects with Spring Circle and then becomes Spring Terrace. I know that there's a tendency for no one to stop because there is no stop sign and people are going at a pretty quick rate of speed. So if that area could just be looked at during school hours would be preferable, because that seems to be the time of day when there's the most traffic and when people tend to be moving at a higher rate of speed than what's acceptable on that pretty narrow, actually, neighborhood street.
Okay.
Great, thank you. All right, so that brings us to item number 6, which is the town manager's report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This evening, I just wanted to provide a coronavirus COVID-19 update through my report. As we noted in our weekly update last Thursday, we unfortunately are moving in the wrong direction. We have moved from a green status of having less than 4 cases per 100,000 averaged out over a 2-week period to greater than that, and we're just slightly above that. But unfortunately, since last Thursday, we've also seen the number of cases per day rise. Over the last 7 days, we've now seen 18 cases in the town, and we're pushing over 3.5 cases on average per day. And there's no pattern or any anomaly that public health is indicating. These cases are spread throughout the community, so we're just asking for the public's continued and perhaps enhanced diligence in these matters. I know everything's opening back up. That provides more opportunities, but along with those opportunities, we need to remind folks about their personal responsibilities for mask wearing and hygiene and events of a smaller scale that can still spread the virus. So just to be frank and without sounding alarm, it just makes us have to think about should the town of Shrewsbury be moving forward with the overall state plan, what impacts does it have on services at public buildings? So it just becomes more and more challenging as the numbers go up, and we appreciate everyone's diligence to that end. We'll keep the community updated. At your last meeting, I also indicated that staff would be able to return to the town hall 100%. We've delayed that given last week's numbers, and given the trend this week going in still the wrong direction, we'll continue to pause that. So update the board next week at your next meeting on Tuesday. We'll provide an update to the public this Thursday during our normal reporting day. Hopefully we see the trend turn around, but unfortunately it looks like it's following a greater statewide trend at this point. So happy to answer any questions of the board, but just wanted to share that update.
Any questions from the board? Kevin, I have one. With early voting starting on October 17th, what plans are in place to make sure that there's not too many people at one time accessing early voting at town hall?
Yeah, so we'll have to manage those coming to the town hall on, like a social distancing standpoint. So we will have the foyer of the town hall and markings outside of the building for people to queue in line. Voters will enter the town hall through the main entrance adjacent or parallel to Maple Avenue. They'll proceed to the clerk's window and then into the old selectmen's room and out the door by the building inspector. So we'll manage social distancing and have hand sanitizer and safety protocol within the building. But voters are able to come to the town hall during the available voting hours. No appointments necessary. The building will be open actually 7 days a week for that period of time, with at least 5 hours of voting on Saturday and Sunday. So once early voting opens, we'll be able to accept folks, ensure social distancing, have hand sanitizer and proper sanitization within the room throughout the day, and then a deeper clean in the evenings.
Thank you. Okay, if there's nothing else, then that brings us to item number 7 under special reports, actions, and updates, which, I mean, was that kind of both? Did you kind of do both there? Yeah, okay. All right. Then that brings us to number 8 under new business, which is to review and act on a letter to state and federal elected officials requesting support for continued aid to the town for coronavirus relief efforts. And just by way of background, this is a letter from our board to our Washington federal delegates asking that CARES Act funding be extended, the use of CARES Act funding be extended beyond the current deadline of December 30th of this year. Mr. Mizikar, did you want to add anything more to what I just said?
Just, maybe a little bit more detail. One example that I can provide to the Board of Selectmen for some concrete numbers for you. For instance, our estimates within the Public Buildings Department for the balance, between now and December 30th, which is when the CARES Act funding expires. So it was set way back in April, whenever the act passed, that all funds needed to be expended by December 30th. And no one would have thought that we'd still be here and that, that was sufficient time, but it just certainly is not. So we've done an analysis of public buildings and their support just to the Shrewsbury Public Schools. So between now and the end of December, they'll incur about $220,000 in costs just directly responding to enhanced cleaning and making the schools operate as needed with proper air turnover and protocol. But then, from December 31st through the end of the school year, our cost estimate for that time period is an additional $420,000 at this point. So if CARES Act funding isn't extended, we're kind of on our own. It's unfortunate because the other side of the coin on this is that we don't have sufficient expenses between now and December 30th to expend the entire $3.3 million in CARES Act. when coupled with the $1.4 million that the schools got. So Washington was very favorable and gracious when allocating a sufficient funding for municipalities to be able to operate. It's actually a little bit too much given the confines of the deadline. We received more information from the state guidance this week, and it's not only do funds have to be expended by, but supplies have to be received in advance of December 30th in order to qualify. So, like every other municipality in the United States at this point, we're trying to stock up on supplies. And of course, that's having a significant impact on the available supplies within the marketplace. And we are actually being challenged, and our order times are just increasing on a day-by-day basis. So we're doing our diligence to make sure we have the supplies, but there'll be a waste of funding, in my opinion, if the timeline isn't extended, because we could really use those funds between now and at least June 30th, if not beyond.
Okay, thank you. And then before we take up discussion, I had asked to have a paragraph inserted into the letter and was shared with all of you through the manager's office in the drive this afternoon, just talking about possibly using CARES Act funding to backfill some of the lost revenue that we're also experiencing as a result of the pandemic and the prolonged period of uncertainty and economic downturn. So that's what's before us to discuss this evening, just to make sure that we're all set with the letter as it's drafted before we send it to Congressman McGovern, Senator Warren, and Senator Markey.
Madam Chairman,
Mr. Kane?
well done.
Mr. Kane approves. Anyone else? I just would like to note that in the draft that I'm seeing, I would move the paragraph that starts additionally before the in conclusion. So it would actually be another paragraph after December 30th, 2020. It says these are all critical ongoing initiatives that will continue beyond December 30th, 2020. One more paragraph and then the conclusion paragraph.
Madam Chair,
Mr. Samia?
the only suggestion, I think it's a really good letter. The only suggestion I'd make is with the revenue is that we further constrain it. So it's in the event or the unlikely event that we have anything left after direct costs that we could apply it towards lost revenue. So we're not making it unrestricted immediately, but rather we're keeping to the purpose of the original grant or the original CARES Act funding. And then in the event, and right now it seems to be unlikely, then it would become effectively unrestricted or to indirect expenses like lost revenues. That's my only suggestion, but I think it's a good letter. Thank you.
Great. Madam Chair?
Mm-hmm.
I think the letter is fine. I think it's a good job, and I like Mr. Samia's suggestion. I think that's a good point. So I'm in favor of the letter.
Okay. Anyone else?
No comments other than I'm good with it. I think we should do it.
All right, so we can go ahead and add that sentence in. I was writing down what you said, Mr. Samia, so hopefully I'll be able to capture it, but I can try to capture it and then I can send it back to you. We can circulate it one more time just to make sure that it is what you think it should say, and then we can have that sent off. Perfect. Okay, so we do need a vote on this letter.
Move we draft the letter and sign the letter and send the letter.
Second.
Okay, any further discussion? Mr. LeBeau?
Aye.
Mr. Samia?
Aye.
Mr. DiPaolo?
Aye.
And Mr. Kane?
Aye.
And myself, aye. All right, that brings us to correspondence. Item number 9 is ZBA decision of August 24th, 2020 for Jeffrey L. and Lisa M. Hastings for a special permit for property located at 67 Bayview Drive. Item number 10 is a ZBA decision of August 24th, 2020 for ZB Construction, Inc. for a variance, property located at 12 Baths Road. Item 11 is a ZBA decision of August 24th, 2020 for New Singular Wireless PCS LLC AT&T for a special permit for property located at 800 Boston Turnpike. Item 12 is a ZBA decision of August 24th, 2020 for James Callahan for special permit for property located at 24 Old Faith Road. Item 13 is a ZBA decision of August 24th, 2020 for Carla Panarelli for a special permit for property located at 242A South Quinsigamond Avenue. Item 14 is a ZBA decision of August 24th, 2020 for Jessica Zorg for a special permit for property located at 27 General Avenue. Item 15 is a ZBA decision of August 24th, 2020 for Jessica Zorg for a variance for property located at 27 General Avenue. Item 16 is a letter dated September 3rd, 2020 from the Town of Douglas Selectmen to Jeffrey Beckwith, Massachusetts Municipal Association regarding House 4680, so noted. Item 17 is a letter dated September 22nd, 2020 from Stephanie Pollock, Mass DOT, to Kristen Lass, Assistant Town Manager, regarding the Mass DOT Shared Streets and Spaces Program Award. And that is a $63,514 grant that is going to be awarded to the town to be used to install 2 ADA compliant crosswalks on Maple Avenue with flashing beacons, one near the municipal campus and one near the town center, along with 2 bike racks, one near the town hall and one near the senior center. And that is, I know for a long time, something that we have discussed is having a crosswalk near to get people across to the municipal campus. So that is going to be a wonderful thing for us to have. I'm really glad that we're able to move forward with that. And thank you to Ms. Lass for writing the grant. And then item number 18 is a letter dated September 30th, 2020 from Holly Luck, Director of the Shoesbury Council on Aging, regarding grab and go meals, which I believe I read. There were, I think, a program that started at the senior center where through Meals on Wheels, seniors could then go pick up the food rather than have it delivered to their home, but it's still coming from Elder Services in Worcester, I believe. And it said that there were 431 meal requests, which is great to know that people are accessing this option for healthy food and reliable nutrition and finding ways to get that to our seniors. If there's anything else to come before the board in open session? Okay, if not, I will take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, Mr. LeBeau,
Aye.
Mr. Samia,
Aye.
Mr. DiPaolo,
Aye.
Mr. Kane,
Aye.
myself, aye. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you and good night.
Evening.
Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you.